Euthanasia legislation is likely to be amended and restricted only to the terminally ill if it makes it through the next vote in Parliament. After considering a record number of public submissions, Parliament's Justice Committee has delivered its response to David Seymour's euthanasia bill and the changes it thinks should be made. Nearly 38,000 submissions were heard by MPs on the legislation that would allow assisted dying. The 8 MPs on the committee could not come to an agreement about whether the bill should be passed, but made a number of technical recommendations aimed at improving it. At the moment, the bill would cover those with a terminal illness as well as those with serious and incurable diseases. But opposition to the legislation continues, including from some medical and church groups and vocal MPs at Parliament. Our political editor, Jane Patterson, filed this report.
Just hours before the report was made public, this group representing Pacific Island people opposed to the bill gathered at Parliament. They told RNZ they wanted to make their voices heard before the bill progresses any further.
Well, it's coming up to its second reading, so we feel this is our final stand to ensure that it doesn't go any further. So from here on, we like them to vote no, and that this bill does not see the light of day any further.
To listen to us, get down to the level of the community and be with us, walk with us, and to view the bill from another perspective which is so different to their view and all that, because we are the majority. There are only a few people sitting there making decision for us.
Most of Pacific people, are against this bill, and that's what we've done today on their behalf. They cannot all be here, but we are here for them, and we've taken this action on their behalf.
Inside Parliament, MPs were presented with the changes recommended by the Justice Committee. They include delaying the date the new law would take effect by 6 months to allow government agencies more time to prepare. There are several other technical recommendations. National Party MP and committee member Chris Bishop says in line with past practice, no major changes were made to the bill as it will be a conscience vote, but it was still a worthwhile exercise.
There's a merit in even just hearing the submissions in the first place, so the part of the role of Parliament is the ventilation of arguments and views for and against a particular proposal, so in a process sense in and of itself that's an important thing to do. And the second thing is that those views are not lost to the Parliament, they're actually on the parliamentary record, they're available for any member of the House to go and look up.
The bill's sponsor, ACT leader David Seymour, says if the bill passes its second reading, the main changes will happen after that in the form of amendments, so the whole Parliament has the opportunity to vote on them.
To introduce a referendum to restrict the end-of-life choice bill to those who have a terminal prognosis only.
That second recommendation is a result of the feedback from the consultation process, he says, and would be needed to get the bill through.
There are people who will be suffering badly and whose lives are not going to end within 6 months. I think it's a shame that the bill, if it's restricted, will not give them the choice that they want. But I have listened to what people have said in Select Committee. There is not enough support in Parliament for it to be people who don't have a terminal prognosis. So we are going to try and pass a bill that will help people who have a terminal prognosis.
The vote is one of conscience, so individual MPs can cast their vote according to their personal views. The Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, will be voting in favour.
I understand those deeply held convictions that some people will have. That means that they'll be opposed to it. My view is the best way that I can allow people to make their own decisions is actually giving them access to that choice.
National MP Maggie Barry says it was a harrowing experience sitting on the committee, listening to the stories of those both for and against. She thinks political opposition to the bill may have hardened after the lengthy consultation period.
As is often the case, members of Parliament will vote something through to the first reading so that there can be a discussion, a select committee process, and this has been a long one. It's been 15 months, and I think that by hearing all the people that asked to be heard, there has been a very robust engagement with the public of New Zealand.
The majority of the 38,000 submissions on the bill were opposed, although David Seymour puts that down to a well-orchestrated campaign from those committed to defeating it. Some public opinion polls have recorded more than 70% support for the legislation. Mr Seymour was asked how he thought the vote would go from here on in.
Look, my gut feeling is that we're in a positive place. but it's going to take a huge amount of work. We are facing a campaign from what I call a motivated minority who are working very hard. They're frankly spreading misinformation about this bill, but I believe that MPs will take this seriously, that they'll look for evidence.
David Seymour says he can't give an exact date about when the next reading will be, but his best estimate is May the 22nd. From Parliament for Checkpoint, Jane Patterson.